What's happening, everybody? I've got a special guest with me tonight. A guy that no one likes, but I thought I'd bring him on anyway. Uh, Most stuff you probably know the man, the beast, Brandon from Rags to Riches. How you doing, man?
How am I doing? I'm going to tell you something, dude. My pale skin doesn't do well in the bright damn sun, and it has been cool and cloudy, and I have been one hell of a happy ginger. So to answer quite honestly, yeah, I'm doing okay, man. Thanks for asking.
Oh man, I'm jealous. We were just talking off screen here about how hot it is here in Texas, man. I'm just burning up, and I'm like you, man. I'm pale, so I'm like trying to hide from the sun.
Yeah, dude, I'm growing my beard out, and I think I'm going to grow this thing out, man. You got a nice one there, dude. How long did that take you?
Oh, man, I don't know. I've had it for quite a minute. I mean, a lot of years. I had it at one point, dude. It was like down to here. I'm just
Dang.
like, nah, that don't work. It's too much maintenance for sure. So,
Yeah, good, man. Well, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it, brother.
oh well, thank you for coming on, man. We got some people in the stream here. Dougie was the first one up. What's up, Dougie? BC and the
Dougie
Major.
Peach, what's up, brother?
Hex Machina, hey man. Crypto Chronic, what's up? I can't even read that. What does that say? Okay. Mayo, morning. Mayo must be over the pond, huh?
Yeah, I guess so. Well, way over the pond, I guess.
Yeah, for sure.
No.
But yeah, thank you for everybody joining us. And I actually see the other beast, Crypto Heartbeat, man. Like that guy is busy.
He's busy, man. It's I guess it's a different game, dude. You gotta do everything you can to talk about your project, and he's been busy today. He talked to Daniel Miller with the TNM, who's the president, and that was an incredible stream. A lot of really good content, a lot of questions answered for folks. So if you guys want to, you can check that out on Crypto Heartbeat's channel.
Yeah, definitely. Even if you don't want to check that part out, go over to Crypto Heartbeat anyway. Super guy, has great content. So one of the good guys in our Hexican community. So let's get to you, man, because I know you're probably, to me, one of the busiest guys in our community. And number one, I want to say just thank you and I know you hate this kind of stuff, but thank you for all you do, man, because you are like, I see great stuff out of you, and it's really appreciated because I know the time it takes and the efforts that you put in. So I wanted to bring you on, and because I'm getting excited because I kind of feel like PulseChain is just like, man, I think it's just right there. And I wanted to bring you on just to kind of get your opinion on things and what you're thinking when it launches, of what your plan is, and just kind of fill me in on what you're thinking right now.
Yeah, so I get this question quite a bit, and what I'm saying lately is, the test net had been up and running for quite a while. People were transacting hundreds of millions of fake dollars going back and forth. Richard says, "Hey, listen, guys, we're going to launch." This was middle or end of April. We're going to launch in a couple weeks here. And then beginning of May, he says, "Hey, we're going to launch in 2 weeks here." And then something happened. So, he basically said that one of his higher level devs saw a vulnerability, and they needed to go in and make sure it got fixed.
Mm-hmm.
So, with the way that cryptocurrency has probably evolved and the way that software is engineered, it needs to be very modular in order to isolate problems and be able to solve things much more quickly. So that's how it's created. So in my mind, I'm thinking, well, if there's a massive security vulnerability and the software is very modular, it would make logical sense to me that they should be able to, I say this, pull the tray out, fix it, push the tray back in, power it on. So I'm thinking to my head, like, if the test net's been up for so long, all this work has been done already, how much longer would it really take to fix some of these problems? So in my mind, I'm thinking, maybe 4 to 6 months, 3 to 6 months from May. So maybe that's kind of what we're looking at. Maybe we're looking at, towards the end of this year, Q1 of next year, most likely. So that's my logical brain with no real information other than scanning through GitLab every day and just seeing what's happening on the trouble tickets. That's about all we got.
Yeah. And I mean, the thing about it is the test net has been pretty much running. I mean, let's see, when did the test net go up?
Was it January?
Yeah, I don't know.
I think it was January, February, or maybe end of December, beginning of January.
Yeah.
Or no, it was further back than that, actually. That's way back. That was PulseX Sacrifice. So it's been going on since July? June or July of last year, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. So with that being said, I mean, no one really knows when it's launching, of course. I just get the feeling it's close. And I know he's kind of mentioned he has that two teams kind of battling each other a little bit. But so what is your take of what is your strategy for someone I mean, I value your opinion, because what's your strategy when PulseChain launches? What are you going to do?
Yeah, my strategy is pretty, it's not exciting, man. The thing about my strategy is I don't want anybody to nuke their account by doing something really stupid, especially if they don't have any experience. Like, you can really get wrecked liquidity providing. And that's not something that's said enough. And people there's a lot of people out there who are excited, and they put out this notion that, yeah, man, within the first 2 days, you can million% your holdings before there's a bridge. And if you just do these things, but watch out for this and this and this and this. And there's going to be people that do that, and they're going to lose a lot. So my whole message this entire time is to build your reserves. Your dollar cost averaging now. You're building a stack now to be able to deploy when this thing goes live. Let's say, there's varying amounts. Let's say that you've saved up $1,000 or $10,000 or $100,000 initially. If it depends on a lot. If you don't have any allocations in PulseChain or PulseX, in my mind, PulseChain should be a 50% allocation of your portfolio. And that's based on what I've done in the past with, before I was in the Hex community. I was looking at Bitcoin and Ethereum being a vast majority or a large majority of my portfolio. 25% after that can be made up of PulseX or anything else that you find exciting. There's a lot of options to choose from in our community, but 50% PulseChain, PulseX, me personally, I'd be at about 25% or so. 20%, maybe it's PulseX, or you can even swap those Hex in that range.
Yeah.
And then probably, 25%, and then 5%, that's the special one. And that's reserved for all the crap that everybody wants to invest in, and they can't help themselves. So ideally, actually, if it's a high risk thing, you don't know the founders, if it's something just really, really screwy, 1 to 2% of your portfolio, you can risk a very, very small amount and not nuke your account. And that's what it's all about. Not nuking your account, not losing money. Keep it simple. So I like to do the 50, 25, 25. 50% should be in the native token for that chain, or the native coin rather. And then the 25% can be whatever that you see most valuable. And in this case, for many people, it's Hex. And then it can be a lot of the others out there that we have, the other 25%.
Right. Well, Brandon, I like that you haven't wavered from that, because I remember watching a stream, and it's probably been, honestly, a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the same exact message that you just gave me. So I really, I respect that, and I appreciate that. It's funny because I was talking to someone yesterday, and I was trying to educate them on PulseChain and Hex, and he was a Hexican, and he said, "Oh, I'm gonna pull out this much, and I'm gonna go buy this other thing," and I strongly disagreed with him.
Yeah.
But I mean, I try to explain to him that Hex is not a trading coin, right?
No.
It's something. It's you're staking for a reason, and a lot of people still don't understand that. So it's a patient thing. It's not something you're going to get rich overnight type deal.
Yeah, the sad part of all this is there's a lot of new people in crypto, and it happens every cycle. You've had a mass exodus from crypto right now. We're in the throes of the bear market. But the problem is people haven't been wrecked. And being wrecked is actually a pretty important part of the process if you're not a person that that can practice delayed gratification. If you don't have that pain and that understanding of waking up and having a lot of money and then waking up maybe 3 weeks or a month later and realizing that over the course of 5 to 10 trades you've lost your entire stack.
Yep.
That's a huge way to learn a lesson, man. That's a great teacher. So the unfortunate thing is people are going to do what people are going to do. And if we could all be walking around and have a giant number on our forehead, that is our portfolio amount, you would see who's diamond handed and you would see who's not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, everybody's got their own strategy, and I get it. It's their money, right? It's not mine. So, we have 80 people in right now, which is amazing. Thank you everyone for coming over here. I did see a question, and would you dump your dry powder in day one, or would you DCA in, and how would you break it up if so?
It's a good question. So if you look at charts, a vast majority of charts will dump for 90 to 120 days. Okay, that's a lot of the people getting out that just want to take that free money and put it somewhere else or go on a vacation or buy a car, whatever. So on a small majority, or a small minority of these charts, it launches, and guess what? Price never comes back to that level. It just goes, takes off. So you have to find a way to play both of those sides without being extremely risky. So what I've been teaching my folks to do for a couple years now is if you get into a day one project, brand new, and you've got a stack to deploy, I would deploy 50% immediately. As soon as it launches, 50% of that stack immediately. And then I would use the rest to dollar cost average up or dollar cost average down. Because we're not prophets. We don't know what the market will do, but we can plan for different contingencies. And in my mind, I've thought about it. I think that's the best thing for me because I have a plan, and as long as I stick to the plan, I can remove my emotion from the equation.
Okay, I like that. Thank you for the feedback on that. Thank you for the question. It was a good question. Crypto Gains Club 369. I'm right there with you. BitConnect tore me up, man. So definitely appreciate Hex for sure.
Yeah, Bybit tore me up. Good night.
Sandy Beach, what's up? Thank you for jumping on. Any questions? That's what I brought the man, the master. What else do you go by? Like, I mean,
the Supreme Ayatollah.
Yeah. So
yeah, the COO, the CFO, the NWO, the CWO, whatever you want to call it.
Whatever those stand for, huh? So here's something that I thought was interesting, and I think a lot of people don't understand is that one of PulseChain's goals is to actually increase Ethereum's value. And a lot of people don't get that. Like, and maybe they don't understand that, but and I think a lot of that has to do with the fees, right? I mean, they're going to lower Ethereum fees will be lowered by like sharing the load, right? It's going to be offset some. What do you feel on that? Is that accurate? What are you thinking?
Well, you got to think about, all right, so let's think about a highway. Let's think about a two-way lane highway. And I know about this because I've gone through it. Interstate 81 in Virginia. So I'm from Virginia. Interstate 81 in my neck of the woods was 2 lanes for a long time. It was it's heavy traffic, man. 81's the backbone of the East Coast. So heavy traffic all the time. And there were horrible wrecks all the time. And people were stressed out all the time. And people just didn't want to use 81. In fact, there's a neighboring there's a road that runs parallel to 81. The speed limit's like 45. A lot of people would say, you know what, I'd rather take that road than be on the interstate because it's wild out there.
Huh.
So what happens? You take all that traffic and then you go from 2 lanes to 6 lanes. What happens to everybody in their vehicle? They get a smile on their face. Their stress is decreased. They're happier, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you're adding a bigger pipe. So you can kind of think about that with regards to Ethereum and regards to PulseChain. So I think it's a selling technique and I think it's a marketing tactic, but there is definitely truth to this. You know, at the height of the next bull market, if we could wave a magic wand and make PulseChain go away and then record how much higher those gas fees are, and then boom, wave a magic wand and bring PulseChain back and then be able to compare the two, people are going to be happy that there are some folks that are transacting on another chain because it's going to make the Ethereum fees cheaper. It just is.
Right.
So you've got to, just like Richard says, it's important to scale horizontally when you have massive amounts of demand. And you see that all over the place. That's why there's, in any given city, there's friggin' 27-Elevens within 5 square miles there. So
yeah. No pulse. The government would change the laws and steal all our cryptos in the end. Well, it depends on where you're holding that. So, I mean, that's all I'll say on that. I don't really want to get in that unless, Rags, I don't know if you want to comment on that at all, but.
They're not going to take it, but what they'll do is legislate against it. So that way, if they catch you, they can slam you. So that's the play.
Yeah, for sure. So you mentioned like when PulseChain launches, you're saying you take 50% and just right when it launches, you're thinking? I mean, like
deploy it.
Deploy right at launch. Huh? Okay.
Yeah, so that way, if it runs hard, you will have been in day one, and if it never comes back, then it's a really good entry. And dollar cost averaging is good for going up and going down because again, you're not a prophet. You don't know what it's going to happen.
Right. Yeah, I totally get that. So, like, I think a lot of people are missing this, and you probably talk to people too. They don't understand. I talked to somebody the other day that said, I won't nothing to do with PulseChain because of Hex. And I'm like, well, they're two separate things. I mean, it's not like they're like locked together, right? A lot of people don't understand that. I think they like, it's all kind of one thing. And like what you were saying earlier, there's so many new people that are coming in. It's hard to keep people educated. You know, they hear one thing and they just don't understand it.
So where was that? So what's the context prior to that statement? So are they saying that they don't want PulseChain because Hex is incredible, or they don't want PulseChain because Hex is a scam, or like what are they saying?
Scam. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. So, and these are the same dum-dums. These are the same people who, before crypto was ever existed, they were in traditional finance and they hadn't saved a dime to their name. Okay. They don't know how fractional reserve banking works. They don't know the relationship between the Treasury and the legislature. They don't know what the Federal Reserve is. They don't know what a 401k is. They don't know what tax deferred is. They don't know what tax free is. They don't have any understanding of where they came from. But then they shift over to cryptocurrency, the new asset class. They Google something real quick on YouTube. They find some Bitcoin bro that says Hex is a scam, and then they parrot Hex is a scam with their fist up in the air. They had nothing to take from the traditional way. They don't know how to take $1 and multiply it into 5 and then have those 5 multiply while they sleep. But then they come here and they trash Hex, right? Yeah. And it's a shame. It's a shame because here's the truth of the matter is the only thing that is going to make people be on board with what we have going on is time and the price chart.
Yeah.
That's it. Time and the price chart. Every day that Hex stays alive, it slaps all those people in the face that trashed all of these Hexkins for so long. And I remind people of this too. I didn't get into Hex until 2021, right? And before that, man, these folks, man, they took arrows. They took arrows for all of us. They built the house that we're living in right now. Right. And every single day that we stay alive, we're more and more vindicated, and we grow more and more powerful. That's just how it is.
Yeah, we're stronger together, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Nate Stakes, what's happening? Liquid Hex for liquid capital pre-bridge, since we don't know how stables like USDC will hold up. Thoughts?
Well, I think that now let me just Google this. I think before I take a look, USDC stated that they were not going to support the proof of stake merge from proof of work to proof of stake for Ethereum. USDC wasn't going to support it. So, I think I'll take a look at that in a second. I think that's what I saw about 4 or 5 days ago.
Okay.
I think that it is important to hold liquid hex. I think it is staked or liquid, because we just don't know what that's going to look like, guys. And we need a way to be able to de-risk. And hopefully we've got other projects on here that will be providing some sort of stability, i.e., liquid loans. That's what they say that they're going to do, but they're not even going to be around for like the first month. They're trying to wait for that volatility to die down. So be very, very careful, folks, about USDC. Be very, very careful about DAI. Everything that's happening right now with these stable coins, we've been talking about for the past year. We said it's coming. They're going to try to invalidate. They're going to try to destroy the reputation, drive wedges. And then you're going to see who is really talking to the government behind closed doors, because they're going to emerge victorious. And the only way they emerge victorious is if the government allows them to. And you got to understand, too, traditional finance, they're in bed with the government massively. I mean, they're getting paid through proxy with inflation. That's why these companies had the best years ever. It's because that inflation was washed through us and then spent with companies, which then was stockpiled. Now they're sitting on trillions and trillions of dollars of fake money. Imaginary internet money, as Richard likes to put it.
Yeah, I'm actually printing some of that. So if you want any, I'll send you some.
Nice, dude. I can dig it.
So, I mean, we're getting a bunch of different questions, Brandon. I don't know if you want to.
Yeah, dude, we can take them, dude. It's fine.
Yeah, I didn't want to kill you with questions, but that sounds like what we're getting. How do you see Hex on Ethereum performing after PulseChain launches? Any concern about emerging unstakes, people bridging all their Hex value to PulseChain?
That's a good question too. I think that. So, how do you see Hex on the Ethereum performing after PulseChain launches? I think we're going to pump really hard pre. I think that in a matter of less than a week, I think that we can hit 50 cents. I think that when all the dust settles and we're pre-bridge, I think that as soon as the bridge does pop open, we're going to see parity very quickly within hours. Parity within like 1%. So I think that with all the bots that are going to be trying to arbitrage that margin there, that difference, and I think also with the bridge, if you look at other assets that have launched on multiple chains that have bridges, I mean, there's not much difference in price between the two ever. So I think Hex pumps. I think it'll get cut in half by about 50%, maybe 30 to 50%, and I think we'll be sitting around there for a while. I think there's a lot of people that have money ready to deploy now. Based on what I've heard, everybody says, get all your stuff over to PulseChain. Get all your stuff over to PulseChain. Folks, don't sleep on eHex. Do not sleep on eHex, and don't sleep on cheap T-shares, folks. Just be very aware of that. If the whole crowd's telling you to swerve right, you might want to stay put and just let that opportunity fall in your lap. And then also on the Ethereum side, there's also Uniswap options there for liquidity providing and all sorts of cool stuff. Yeah. So, but me personally, I'm going to try to keep it simple. I'm going to do a couple things. I'm going to stay out of stables. I don't want to waste that opportunity to get copies of something else if the stables get invalidated. And I'm just going to keep it simple, man, and just keep adding and accumulating and not losing. That's the most important thing ever.
You know what I think, Brandon, is like when I think about the eHex and like, I don't really care, right? I mean, like, because I think time is just going to build, right? Like, things are going to build. People are going to stay on Ethereum because they like Ethereum. It's not like, not everyone's going to jump over on Pulse, right? I mean, there's going to be Ethereum diehard people. So, I mean, I'm with you. I kind of feel the same way. I feel like we're going to see a big spike and then it's going to dip and kind of level out, which is typical, right? I mean, that's normally what happens.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what happens. It's all up in there. We'll see, man. Just don't nuke it. And I like that idea too, dude. Like, we got to keep perspective. Always keep perspective. You know, here's what's going to happen. There are going to be people that make a lot of money off of this opportunity, and then when they're done, they're going to flash it and they're going to say, "I told you so. I told you so."
Yeah.
But think about how many people aren't going to flash it and how many people got wrecked. You're not going to hear from any of those people. So it's better off just to play it safe. Hex isn't going anywhere. It's going to be around forever. So just play it safe, in my opinion, if you don't have a really good understanding how this stuff works. You go to hexsearch.io and you go in and just search for example, liquidity providing, and find out what Richard was saying a year or two ago about that. He says it's a no-no. He says be very, very careful. This isn't for people who just got in because you can get wrecked quick.
Yeah, especially when you don't know what you're doing, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So, so here's a question that I wanted to ask you, because I don't know that I've ever got much feedback from you on this, but what's your take on NFTs launching on PulseChain? Like, what's your take on that? Are you supportive of NFTs, or what's your thoughts?
One of the most difficult things that I've found is trying to separate Richard's thoughts from my thoughts in my own head, right? Because we hear what he says all the time and we're in agreement because it makes complete logical sense, right?
Right.
So I think that I'm pretty firm in thinking that I'm not all in on NFTs, man. I'm just not. And I don't think I would be, even if Richard, even if I didn't hear anything from Richard about it. I really don't think I would be. However, I think it's important. Here's why. Progress is important. Progress that goes all the way up to the wall of failure. It's extremely important. Why? Because everybody's watching that progress and everybody's learning and everybody's understanding and everybody's adapting. I don't know what this is going to turn into. It's going to turn into something, some iteration. It might not look like anything that we thought in terms of, you think about like, lightning bolts to the sky. There's so many different levels of complexity that it can spider web out into. Who knows? But what I do know is there's a lot of people that are excited about it. And when humans get excited about something and they get motivated, they find really, really cool ideas in their brain and apply them to the world. So that's what I'm excited about.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm hoping that people don't do the new shiny object thing when all this stuff launches. It's like, oh, I want that, I want that, I want that, I want that, and they're wrecked. But
you look at something like, for example, let's get a tip of the hat to Alex over there with Hedron. He's the NFT. I think this was like one of the first instances of encapsulated value with an NFT in the world. I don't know of that happening anywhere else. Being able to take a hex stake, encapsulate it, and being able to send it to somebody, making it mobile. That's huge.
Yeah.
It doesn't give enough credit, in my opinion. So you can hate Hedron or you can love Hedron. But again, one of the things that Richard said probably about a year and a half ago, he was like, I'm really excited. I'm excited to see what really, really cool ideas that Hexkins make, because we've got a lot of really, really smart people that are lurking in the shadows. And Alex, as far as I'm concerned, he popped up out of nowhere, right? But we got to encourage people to come out of the shadows.
Yeah.
Because there are geniuses that are lurking amongst us. And one genius can do more work for humanity or do more work for an ecosystem than 1,000 people could in the same amount of time. Just one. They change everything.
Yeah.
They change the trajectory of the world, for God's sake. So I think it's awesome, dude. I'm excited to see what happens moving forward.
Yeah. I mean, my take on NFTs is like the value of an NFT is in the utility of it, right? It's not like, so for me as an NFT buyer, if I would look at, okay, what do I get if I buy that NFT, right? Like, because a big thing that's coming is like, you buy an NFT and it buys you a table at a restaurant, and then you can rent that thing out. I mean, there's so many utility stuff coming that I see definitely big value in that. I still don't see the value in the, and it's going to, people probably get mad, the art side of it. I just don't, I can't find the value in that yet.
I understand the value of it. I just don't think that, our world is prepared yet for NFTs to go viral.
Yeah.
I think that we are marching towards that singularity where you have the digital world and you have the real world reality kind of merging together. Now, I think in the future, NFTs can be really big, especially if you're walking around with glasses and all you're seeing is augmented reality everywhere. You could be wearing your NFT that cost a lot of money, and it is a status symbol, this and that. So that's why I say there's so many different eventualities and contingencies, and it spider webs out. Who knows where it's going? But I think it will make a resurgence. I don't think we're there yet. We're making moves towards that.
Yeah, definitely, man. Steve, Mr. Rags, about 6 months ago, you provided a 1,700 prediction. 2 years after Pulse launch, do you still feel the same?
I do. So here's my idea about that. And I got a lot of flack for that because it wasn't 10,000 to 15,000x. But yeah, I'm the type of guy that you'll hear me talk about 1,000 to 1,500, 1,700, and that's my moonshot, and it could go a lot further. Okay, but here's what we'll talk about. So let's think about what's happening right now from a macro perspective. The federal government is rugging the United States. How are they rugging the United States? They are destroying us with interest rate hikes, absolutely murdering us with interest rate hikes. On top of that, what are they doing? They're rugging us by removing money out of the supply, quantitative easing. All right, and they're doing a couple other things, but those are the two tools that can really hurt the economy. All right, so they're going to have to be doing this because if you look at the chart for inflation, it still is accelerating and on a parabolic run. All right, still straight up. So they have to rug the economy. They have to. But here's the interesting part. As they raise these interest rates, they have to service the debt. The government has to service the debt based on the interest rates that are being risen. So they are extremely upset right now because those interest payments continue to go up and up and up as the Federal Reserve increases interest rates to rug the economy. So it's crazy.
Yeah.
The federal government is not going to want that forever. All right. So in my mind, I think that what you're going to see probably around midterms, Q1, Q2, if they continue to raise interest rates 75 basis points to 100 basis points to slow the economy down, right? And for some of you guys in chat, what that means when they raise interest rates is, the money that's lent from the central bank down to the bigger banks, the rate on that's quite a bit higher. And then the money that those banks lend to the smaller banks is quite higher. So that means that in order for them to make money, they have to charge their customers a higher interest rate. So that's when you go to the bank, it's higher interest rates for credit cards, it's higher interest rates for auto loans, it's higher interest rates for business loans, for mortgages, things of that nature. So it disincentivizes people to spend more money. So that's what's happening. So I don't think they're going to do this for another year straight. I'm thinking that probably Q1 or early Q2 of next year, the government slows the interest rate hike or stops it. And here's the key. They start printing money again.
Yeah.
Right. So when they start printing money, that's when everything's going to go bonkers. If PulseChain launches this year or beginning of next year, right at the time when they start printing money again, we are going to see a massive, massive, massive run up in crypto, because it's like a slingshot that's being pulled back right now, guys. Get it while the getting's good, folks, because it's not going to be at these levels forever. And PulseChain launches, be ready for PulseChain, because you're not going to get those levels forever. I definitely think we could see a 1700x in 2 years after launch, without a doubt. Now, it all depends. It all depends on the economy. It all depends on the macro. I think we're now seeing how important it actually is for the government to be printing money with regards to the stock market and also regards to crypto. I think a lot of people see that now. They didn't see it before.
Yeah, no, well said. I agree with you. I'm looking at the future. I think we're going to see like gains that no one has ever even dreamed of. Like,
yeah.
And what you're saying right now is like, get in. This is not financial advice, but get in now. Right? So, I mean,
get in now, man. That's the neat thing. Like, people say, oh, the outsized returns, they could only happen in the past. Here's what people don't understand about this. You can take, and I'm not going to make this about me, but I'm just going to I'll use Texan Token, for example, and I'll talk about the community of 435,000 people. Think about how many communities out there haven't been hatched yet. And think about whatever ties them together and gets them excited. If they work together with a common purpose and a common cause, 10,000x is nothing, folks. 20,000x is nothing. 50,000x is nothing, right? Yeah. At the top of the next bull market, if Hex follows suit with what Bitcoin did, it will be a 50,000x higher. 50,000x might be a lot higher than that. But that's the type of thing that we got to understand here, folks. We've got an incredible community here. Not only incredible community, we're very smart. Our most ignorant person about crypto could kick most people's asses in any other community in cryptocurrency. And that's exciting. So we've got something really cool that's going on here. And outsized returns, I mean, again, people, like you said, they won't even see it coming. They won't even believe it, because we're getting better at what we're doing. We're not getting worse. We're getting better.
Yeah. Yep, for sure. So you mentioned something, and I did want to kind of talk to you about it, is, you probably see my hat here, and, I want to talk to you about the Texan token. And first I want to talk to you about something that I saw today. And of course, I live in Texas, and I don't know if you saw the law, but where they can put "In God We Trust" back in schools, the signs, and it's just signs everywhere now. So to me, it's a freedom thing, and I wanted to just kind of get your feedback on the Texan token and really what it stands for.
Yeah, the thing that I try to fight so hard for is for people in the modern world not to push to throw away traditional wisdom that has been gathered through blood, sweat, and tears for thousands and thousands of years. And suddenly, if you look on a clock, one little tick, all of a sudden modern man appears, and we say all that's garbage, throw it away. Are you freaking kidding me right now? This is the dumbest thing ever. It's like a guy that spends 15 or 20 years in school, and he's got doctorates, and he's got PhDs and everything. And then he learns all this stuff, and he's got it in his head. And then Will Smith shows up with that little stick and says, "Ding," and wipes him.
Yeah.
And the guy says, I can do it better on my own than all the knowledge that's ever been accumulated that I learned for 15 or 20 years. I'm better than all those people. The power of what we have is experience in failure over the years to figure out what works and what doesn't. So in my opinion, what we're seeing is a push to unmoor us from traditional wisdom. And they want to replace it with a very dark and twisted idea of how the world should be. And I, my friend, am not down with that. I'm not going to be a part of that because I understand what works. I see what works in the world and I see what doesn't. I see these people trying to tell me that the sky is red instead of blue. No, it's freaking blue. I can see it, right? And that applies for everything. They're pointing their finger and say, that's not the way it is. It's actually this. No, it's not. And they're just trying to confuse people. So putting In God We Trust back in the schools is amazing to me. It's absolutely amazing. You know why? Because it's one way to push back against the government. Yeah. If you don't look to the government as being God, and you actually, with whatever relationship that you have with your creator, you hearken back to that instead of looking to the government for answers and looking to the government for financial support and looking to the government for education and all that. If you bring it back, screw that, and focus on yourself and your relationship that way, that's incredible for society. Men focused in large enough pools for long enough timelines really screw the world up. I don't know why. I think it's just because we are fallen. We're screwed up individuals sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. But yeah, dude, how awesome is that? Thank you, Texas. So how do I tie this back to Texan token? What you're hearing about right now is the same type of stuff that these guys are fighting for. They saw what the union looked like back then. Mm-hmm. And they saw the agreement that was made based on what was going on back then, and we have strayed so far from it. Now we do have a federal Leviathan that does not give a damn about you guys. And people sit here and say, well, look at all the programs and blah, 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 blah. All right, I say, okay, look at a chart of the DXY. Look at the dollar. That's how much they care about you. They're getting rich on your back. Every single bill that they pass, there's enough spam in there to give, politicians and their spawn generational wealth for hundreds and thousands of years. They get these little kickbacks every single bill. Guys, it's busted. The whole system's busted. We have to use what we have at our disposal legally, extremely legally right now. I just want to emphasize that. And that's what they're doing. If you look at the Constitution, there's nowhere that says that a state can't, push back against the federal government in that way. Nowhere. Point it to me. Nobody can find it because it doesn't exist. It's completely legal to do so. And I think that's part of the wisdom for our founding fathers who studied these civilizations and these societies well before them for thousands and thousands of years. And they put together the most incredible document imaginable. And everybody says the world's lost when all we have to do is go back to what that document is, and that will fix it. They're trying to go back to that, man. And that's what resonates with me more than anything in the world, personally.
Well said, man. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
It's funny because when I'm listening to you, all I'm thinking about is how the media brainwashes us into, only concentrating or seeing certain things. And I feel like, you kind of said this, if we go back to the simplicity of life and simplicity of growth and looking at what we should be looking at, it would be a different world right now, right? Because this is not just Texas, right? And that's what I don't think a lot of people understand.
Right.
This is bigger than Texas. This is like true independence and freedom. That's what we're fighting for. It's not. It really, honestly, it doesn't have a lot to do with Texas in my mind. Yeah, I live in Texas, but it has to do with me individually, right? And my own independence and freedom that I'm fighting for. So.
Absolutely, man. And when you say it's not only for Texas, I talk to people from the UK. I talk to people from Europe. I talk to people from Australia. I've had one-on-one conversations with these people, and I sense fear in their heart. Because for the first time in their lives, they've actually seen the face of what tyranny is. They've gotten a taste of it, and it only accelerates from here, right?
Yeah.
Conflict deferred is conflict multiplied. If you don't put a boot in the ass of that stuff right now, it's just going to be so much harder to clean up in the future. And we as people from all over the world, regardless if you are from the States or not, life, liberty, happiness, and self-determination. The ability for people to be governed by the people that they want to be governed by, right? So we've got it all screwed up. It's like an improper fraction right now. I call it a Dolly Parton fraction, top heavy, right? So we got too much power at the top. The people need to flip that fraction around. We need everybody to understand where it comes from. It's determined by us, our right of self-governance and self-determination. And that's what Texan is 100%, 1,000,000% all about. That's it.
Great, man. Hey, thank you for sharing that. Texan.cc, if anyone wants to go over and check that out. Again, there's some powerful stuff going on there. And I know, Rags, you've been really working hard at it, and you and Matt and Crypto Heartbeat. Just great stuff, man. Appreciate all you guys are doing. And I know that you've got like a million other streams tonight. You jumped on here real quick, but I want to kind of end with you saying, again, I want you to kind of where you started, because I think I'm really scared that people are going to get wrecked, right? So I'd love for you just to state exactly what you said in the beginning of like people wake up,
Are you talking about in terms of crypto? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, for sure.
So it's really easy to do a search on PulseChain, and there's thousands and thousands of videos out there. And there's tons and tons of conversations that have been had about what the right strategy is and what you can do to maximize your profit. Okay. When you hear the word maximize, just be very cautious about that. Be cautious about that word, because maximize in many instances leads to the word risk. You're taking unnecessary risk. I'd been talking about Amazon for a while. Richard talks about Amazon. You look at that chart. Amazon launched, it pumped, it dumped, and then it took off and it never came back. So what's the moral of that story? If you were somebody that was investing in Amazon, as long as you didn't blow up your account, and as long as you just put your money in the market regularly, you're going to be successful. So when PulseChain launches, in my opinion, don't get caught up in the liquidity providing. Don't get caught up in ratio trading and doing all that if you don't feel comfortable with it. Just have a plan to deploy capital into the ecosystem when it first launches, and continue to do that for years. Switch your time horizon from 6 weeks or 3 months or whatever the case may be, out to years, 2 years, 4 years. Really, 3 to 5 years is the golden spot for new projects. That's when you really see really cool things happen. So just switch your mind that way. If you're working a day job, bust your ass, okay? I've said this, and it's, a lot of people would rather work 40 years to be poor than hold 5 years to be rich. So that's important, folks.
True statement there, man.
Bust your butt. Right now's the time, and just don't do anything stupid. If you even have a question about what you're doing, don't risk. The only thing that matters is that stack, and don't lose money.
Yeah, well said. And one thing I wanted to add to that is, and I'm a dum-dum, so don't come to me, but make sure that you're watching the right people, right? And you're doing your own homework, because I can tell you guys can go through all these different streams, and there's a lot of different opinions. So make sure you're like following and doing your own education on things prior to just throwing everything in.
Yeah, get a lot of opinions, and what does that even mean? Like, watch the, when we say watch the right people, what it means is like, if you're doing research based on people's opinions and you're trying to pull truth out of it, you got to listen to a lot of people, folks. You got to get a lot of people, and you got to get people that have a track record of actually being successful. So that's one of those things.
Yeah.
Talk to a lot of people, listen to a lot of people. There's a lot of little clues that you can pick up, and you can start to piece together your strategy. But when you have money, move slow. You don't have to move fast, folks. When you move slow, you move fast, you get freaking wrecked. Slow down. When you're impulsive, pump the brakes. Just take it easy, take it slow.
Yeah. Well said, man. I think I'll end it right there, Brandon. I appreciate you coming on, educating us all. You guys, if you, I mean, most of you probably know Rags to Riches and Brandon, but go over and watch. You know, he has some great content. And one thing I love about him, and I know he's right in front of me now, but is he doesn't waver. Like he says one thing and he sticks to it. So, and I really, I admire that big time, because there's other people that don't do that. So thank you,
appreciate
Brandon, so much, man.
Yeah, man. Guys, I would encourage you to go to texitnow.org, TEXIT, texitnow.org, and just go learn. If you're on the fence about it, if you don't understand it, or if you heard that it's some right-wing conspiracy craziness, go learn about it, learn about history, and just see what they're trying to do. It's incredible, really is. And dude, T-Rob, thank you so much for bringing me on, man. I appreciate you.
Oh, man, anytime, brother. Have a good evening, and thanks again, man.
Yeah, buddy.
All right, buddy. We'll see you later.
All right, man.
All right, man. That was awesome. Love having that guy on. I'm going to throw this up real quick because I know some of you are interested. Texitnow.org. Read what that means. And I'm not trying to push you on another coin or anything, but I'm pushing you on a movement that is for freedom, for real independence. And it's not about some illegal stuff or like trying to do different things. It's all about having really, really true independence and understanding that you have true independence. I think we get blinded by things that they want to force on us. So go make your own decision, texitnow.org. And thanks again to Rags to Riches, and we will see you next time. Thank you so much. We got 93 people in. You guys are amazing. Love you. We'll see you next time.